In this video today, this day is going to be behind that wall. That is a temporary door covering up the entrance of the laundry room that we took the door off as we started clearing out all the walls. And you've seen the pictures where we're taking out some of the walls. Well, we took out a lot more walls, and now we're getting to drain the hot water heater and take out the floor to fix this dripping plumbing.
Got everything you need?
I'm filling it a little bit more.
I don't hear this turning on, which tells me there's no electricity. This thing makes all kinds of racket.
So I'm just using the rest of the hot water. Surely have to get the before, because the after is going to be spectacular. Well, surely going to be easier from doing it up here.
Yeah.
Is that a piece of my wood?
I don't think we're safe.
Even if I ran them through the planer?
We're tearing up the tunnel groove to it,
Oh.
and they're half rotted out.
Okay.
I guess
Okay, I got it.
so much wet. So much. You broke it!
I broke it.
That I did catch on camera.
All kinds of repairs going on.
It's just gonna feel so good to have a do-over, huh?
It's like a piece of plywood wrapped around this.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, you know, it was never an option to leave the hot water heater in here.
No.
That's what I'm seeing.
Wow, you guys are winning.
Oh. I mean, that's only pipe coming from that direction, but I don't know what it does when it gets over there. Okay, I gotta figure that out. That I gotta solve.
This is Jim laying out everything on the floor so that he gets it in the right order for plumbing the laundry room slash bathroom.
There goes those pipes that haven't been working right.
So you're taking out all the old right now.
Out with the old.
Out with the old. How's that feel?
Feels really good to me, I'm telling you.
You know, this isn't as scary as I thought it would be. It's so much better having him be able to stand here where the floor used to be instead of crawling down there underneath all of that stuff. It's wonderful, actually. Don't you agree?
I'm enjoying it a lot more.
Out with the copper, and we're going to sell the copper for metal money. Metal money.
I'm cutting out the old copper fittings because I try to take them apart. A lot of them are rusted and they don't go, and the pipe bends, and it's just not working out well to do that. So it's a lot easier for me to just pull out what's there and be done with it. Otherwise, I'd be fighting with it like crazy, and there's really no reason to do that, actually. For those of you who are not plumbers, haven't really done any plumbing, a lot of this is probably pretty mystical. I'm certainly not a plumber, pipe fitter, whatever you want to call it, by a long shot. This is kind of an old school gadget. This is a pipe cutter. Let me show you what this thing has on it, just so you are aware. So it's got a little blade right there that can spin around, and this runs this piece right here up and down to get tighter and tighter.
This way.
That way. So when I twist it, it gets tighter. So what I start with is it kind of fits on the pipe. I cinch it down to where it's starting to cut it, and that blade cuts into the pipe. Go around once or twice. Tighten it. Tighten it. Tighten it. Boom. And it cuts it. Really slick. So, and there we go. I don't know what that's all about. It's on there, but the pipe's out of there. Okay. Pipe here that's not part of anything else that's happening. So,
which one is that?
It goes out there.
Do you think
that's the old gas line?
Or, oh, I bet it is the old gas line.
That's where it's running.
Yeah, and that's been cut.
Yeah, it's cut at both ends. Let me go. Actually, it's just pushed down through the floor over here.
And it was not copper, correct?
It was copper, and it's laying right on the ground, and that's why they said they needed to replace it, because it was totally compromised.
So yeah, let's pull that out.
I don't know that I can. I really can't get to it. I can cut it at this end and cut it at that end. That way, when we at least be out of the way from in here. Because
that's the one that's just laying on the ground that they couldn't use anymore because they said it was done illegally.
Yep, it was done inappropriately. So.
And all of our gas is turned off, and that's not connected.
And that's not connected. This is the gas line that is turned off. This is the new one. That's actually better.
Tell them what we're trying to do with the trap door.
Well, because we're not going to have an entrance from the outside, which we don't want to have, we're going to build a door right here that can lift up this way so that we can step down in here.
Okay, so I'm going to show you. Point to all the things that are in front of this trap door out there.
Well, this is the trap door. So you've got this pipe there, that drain pipe right there.
And that is all in front of the little way to get into the crawl space, which is little.
I'm not that big of a guy. I struggle to get in there. Big guys would never get in there. And I'm not talking obese guys, I'm talking large-shouldered guys. It'd be next to impossible. So
I totally understand why the guy who laid the cable, the copper, didn't hang everything. I mean, this was impossible to get into.
Yeah.
So even now, when we put a trap door in here, if we need to get over there, you've got to slide underneath that. But we're encasing this.
But what I'm going to attempt to do is, these pipes I'll be able to reroute. These are flexible enough. I can route them over here, get them out of the way here. And the pipes that come in, we're going to have pipes that go in here. This is where the sink is. This is where the toilet is. So they'll come up right behind there. So they're within, squat down, reach over. They're not going to be too bad to do. And in fact, this pipe that's right here, I'm going to see if I can take it out because it's not being used at all.
It's not at this end?
No, it's not.
But Jim, we have to have some drain from the sink.
From this sink is right here. From the toilet is right there. This from here up and over to here is all unneeded.
Superfluous.
Yep, I wasn't going to use a big word.
What is that one going to the right? Right there by your leg.
It connects on to this one. That's what I'm saying. It's all unnecessary.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to see if I can take it out. That'll have it out of the way, which will make it easier for me to get in here to work on these two if I ever had to. Which
and that pipe that's broke right there, that's nothing either. That's coming out.
That goes back into the kitchen.
But it's not being used.
It's not being used, and it's it's fairly movable. I can do a little twisting on it. So what I'm thinking is when we take apart the dining room kitchen area, we'll be able to take it out. So we really are opening this area up fairly well. It'll be a lot easier to work from down there. Now the other lines that are going,
and I'm sorry about the fan, we're keeping him cool.
There's going to be hot and cold coming over here to the washing machine, and I'll just run them along this joist so they won't be in the way. They'll be up
honey, that's going to be so great.
So it's going to be so much easier to work with. There's going to be nothing, you know, what you're going to have is that drain pipe, these pipes coming up right there that are in the way. Because we're not coming in and out right there, that's not going to be a problem.
And then we're going to encapsulate this, and I'm assuming that the encapsulation is going to go over the sewer pipe, and if we ever needed to get into it, we just slice
Absolutely.
it. Okay.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely. Now, point out something here that this was an interesting, not a happy thing that we found is this joist right here is gone.
Do you like this? Look at this.
And so they propped it up with this 2x4.
Wiggle it again.
That's setting on these boards over here.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Look at that support over there,
the
like a little, you know, shim on top of a board stuck in on top of another one. So
before we can replace the floor, we are going to take this joist from at least there, maybe further, all the way over to here, all the pieces that are left out, and put another piece in here. It's really not holding up the house, it's really that this is the joist that's holding everything up right there, and that's setting on the concrete wall.
Okay, so this is the other problem that we've had. The floor ended right here, so there was this space that went straight down to the crawl space.
Back over here, it was the same kind of
yeah,
thing.
And that's what we've got in the living room.
Right.
And so we're going to take it all the way to the here, so that when we put our subfloor on, we have no gaps. No gaps.
No gaps.
And we are only doing this one room completely before we tackle anything else. And the reason we had to tackle this is because we've had a major drip.
Yeah, this is, I don't know if you can see it. Oops, here's another piece of copper. I mean, it's been draining out, but if you notice, it's pretty wet in here. It's been a constant.
What was it coming from?
One of the connections here.
That we just took out?
Yeah, the cold water was just running out. Just a constant drip. I mean, you can hear it.
So why would they have the drain insulated?
Because it could freeze during the winter.
Okay.
And,
okay.
you know, you don't want that to back up.
Correct.
So.
Okay.
So that's where we are.
All right, I'm going to close down the camera for now and let you work, and you call me if anything exciting happens.
Okay, I will do that. Looking at the drain for the plumbing, what I'm seeing is we have this old steel pipe, and it's kind of a
That's for the washing machine.
Yeah, this is washing machine. This is from the sink that's here, and it goes down. You can't tell very well from a distance, that steel pipe. And then you have this funny thing that runs over here that I'm sure
can't see.
It's this pipe runs over here and ends right there. It's probably something like your appendix, you know. It's just kind of there holding stuff.
Well, let's make sure whether it's a vent.
No, it's not a vent. It's closed. It's sealed off. It used to be something. I have no idea about the history, but what I'm seeing is this old pipe. It's old. It could burst. I mean, this right here broke. So what does that mean is going to happen with the other? If I have to repair it, it's harder to work on than the more modern methods of doing it. Like I say, I'm not a plumber. I don't know the details.
But you have done a lot of plumbing.
I've done a lot of plumbing. But I know that the pieces and parts that are used today are a lot easier to work with, a lot easier to repair and replace. Now, we had showed this pipe earlier.
Yeah.
This is what used to come from the sink, and at some point...
Kitchen sink.
From the kitchen sink. Some point it broke. They stopped using it. They've got something else in place because the kitchen sink drains. I don't know.
We have
just
no
straight
idea.
Down on the ground. We don't know.
We haven't got that far yet.
We'll find out when we get there. But if I have the modern plumbing set in place, if I have to run a line from the sink over to here, if that's going to be better than what exists, it'll be easy for me to. I'll build it in such a way that I can.
So what you're saying is out with the old, in with the new.
Well, I have to work on it. I plan on this lasting for another 60 years, enjoying it the whole time, and maybe working on it a couple times during that. So that being the case, I wanted to do it in a way that
you said you're only going to live to be 120, so you only get to do it
so
50-something more years.
Give or take a little on the 60. Sorry about that. But the last half of my life spent dealing with this, so I want to get it right so that when I have to do something, I can either tell that young whippersnapper who's going to be doing it for me exactly how it is, and he can work with it real easy, and he doesn't have to complain to me about how awful it is, or if I have to do it myself, I can come down and do it.
Also, what he just told me, which is really cool, after this is completely encased, we're going to get a small heater that's made for something like this that has the thermostat on it, so that when it hits 30 degrees in there, it kicks on.
Yes.
And it's safe. It's made safe for that.
And we'll get one that can give us an alarm and let us, whether it's a light or something, let us know that it's on, so we know that the temperature down here is low, the heater is working. We'll have a thermostat that can tell us as well. We need to get that kind of a feedback so that we know if we have a potential problem, that's the time when we'd want to turn the taps on and let the water run slow. We're going to insulate the pipes. We're going to do everything we can, but on those times when the temperature dips really low and stays that way, the cold is going to permeate in here no matter what we do. What we don't want to find out is the water pressure goes away. We start hearing sounds down here because we have a burst pipe. We don't want that to happen. We're going to do everything we can.
And the PEX pipe just really doesn't. We watched an incredible video where it just doesn't.
It freezes and expands, and doesn't burst, and then when it thaws out, it comes back down.
But we are going to take
So that's our first line of defense. The second line of defense is we're going to seal this in so there's no cold air possibilities of getting in. And then we're going to put a heater with thermostat and a temperature gauge for us to watch. Somehow, in amongst all of that, we should not have a problem.
So right out this window is the big field, and this is the west, and the wind, I guess, just really comes towards this way during the winter and freezes the pipes. That's why they've had so many problems. So that's why we're taking all these precautions.
And that's why we started in this room. This seems like a pivotal room. You've got to have water during the dead of winter.
Of which we don't right now. So let's stop talking so that we can start getting water.
This is the after picture of that steel pipe being gone. So there's no more drain pipe going into there, running in here, being in the way. Next we have to design what we want it to be, buy the pieces and parts, and get everything in place so that we can install it. That's coming next. In the meantime, we're going to start getting our pipes put together so we can actually get some water running, and we'll go to that point. We might show you, well, we will show you some progress along the way here and there if we come to something important, but you'll definitely get to see the after picture.
Look at this piping you've put in. Don't you love that you're just kind of sitting on the joists instead of crawling underneath?
When I look at how muddy and ucky it is under here, knowing that I would be laying on my back, laying on my side, doing this, no, this is heavenly. And you know, yeah, okay, if everything had been perfect as far as the floor was concerned, then this was a lot of work that wasn't necessary, and yeah, you should have crawled under and done it. But
considering how bad the floor was, that it had to come up.
It needed to be replaced.
I know, but I just find such joy walking in here and seeing you.
The whole thing is, you know, first of all, this is getting cleaned up, straightened out. It's going to be easier for anybody else to come behind me if need be and repair or replace.
And wait till you guys see it when we're done. It's going to be so cool.
Anyway, yeah, we've made the right decision here. I'm happy about it.
Okay.
We're all roughed in. Obviously, when we put in the floor, this has got to be disconnected and so on and so forth to run it through the floor. But to test it, we've got all the valves installed right now, which means I have to
show it.
So, and this one, I'll explain that in it just.
You don't even have.
Here's a valve. Here's a valve. There's a valve. And here's a valve. This is all the cold. Don't have the hot yet. Obviously the hot is dependent on the hot water heater, so I really couldn't test it.
And there's no place for the hot water heater to sit.
So I am going to go ahead and run the hot lines so that they're ready to hook up to the hot water heater and be totally prepped when the time comes. But they will be ran as neatly. A little bit of finagling I have to do, but at that point we'll be ready to start getting the floor in place.
But you haven't told the best part.
Oh!
You've turned the water on.
The water is turned on.
There's no drips.
I can prove it too.
No. We don't need water down here.
I'm gonna shoot.
No, we are not gonna shoot me.
Anyway, I'm just gonna let a little bit.
No. Okay, we can see.
See?
Yeah.
You heard the air coming out of there? So it's happy.
First time, no drips.
Yeah, no drips going on.
I like PEX pipe.
So this is gonna dry out, and you know, it's a neat installation. There's no real big deals.
We still have
the
these two pipes you see down here are
CPVC.
Yeah. They're what was already here. He's put a blue tape and a red tape on them. And what we'll end up doing is stretching one over and connecting it to where you see this red one right now. But apparently it takes different connectors than what we have. We thought it was PEX, and so.
We didn't look at it close. We made the assumption. It was hopeful thinking. Not something you should do. You need to look at everything, but we were...
We're good.
Yes.
We're good.
There was so much going on.
This was a good long
It's the only
day.
thing we overlooked in this whole job from what I can see. And there were lots of surprises that kept our attention from being able to focus on the details.
Jim, I'm not sure you've told them about the 3/4 inch, the 3/8 inch, so show them about that.
Your pipes. You're looking at the inlet pipes. This is the pipe that's bringing water in. Let me put my hand on it here so that you can see. It's this pipe right here that's coming into this. And if you notice, it's smaller in diameter. That's because it's a 3/8 inch pipe. So if you know anything about plumbing, you know that the pipe coming in needs to be larger than everything else that's feeding water around the house. That's actually a small size that would typically go from, say, go into a toilet or into a sink from a 1/2 inch line that's feeding it. But that's what's feeding the whole house. That's where all the water pressure's coming from. So that's a problem. And eventually it's going to be corrected. And that's what I'm working on the other side of the kitchen dining room area. I'm going to run a 3/4 inch line from there all the way into here, which is going to make some changes here at this location, where instead of being 1/2 inch that's coming in, it's going to be 3/4 inch. The reason that I had to go with 1/2 inch instead of 3/4 inch right now is because at none of the stores I went to could I find a 3/8 to 3/4 adapter. They were all out. There was nothing there, and I want to move forward on this project. I know that eventually I'll have to replace this T here, and that's fine, and then I'll be running 3/4 all the way from where it comes in from the well. But in the meantime, we got what we got. It's going to be better than what we've had, and the next iteration will be an improvement. So, challenging day, stressful day, good result day. It's only going to get better from here.